Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of these variables on both sides. Okay, I have a couple of things I want to go over. I want to do problem 5 and problem 6. So we're going to start here. Okay, this is what I saw a lot of students do. I saw a lot of students do +5 and +5. Okay, first of all, if you're not putting your variable, you are doing it incorrectly. You're being a shortcutter and you're being lazy. So stop. You are actually moving the entire term. This is a -5 times x, and you are moving the entire thing to the other side. So if you're going to do that, you make sure you put that x, because I'm promising you if you don't, you're eventually going to just put random numbers underneath your variables, and you're going to think they can be added together. And they can't. They are not like terms. So put your x's in there. So I saw a lot of students do this, and then I saw a lot of students do this. Now follow me, because this is incorrect. This is not correct. This is what I saw. 8x equals 16. They crossed this out. They just got 8x over here, and they brought 16 down, and all of a sudden, their equal sign switched from here to over here randomly. So you guys, you cannot do that. Okay, you can't do that. Your equal sign can't just jump over there into the middle of this problem where a plus sign had been. So let's look at actually what you've done when you do this. Okay, a -5x and a +5x add to 0. So on the left side of the equation, you now have nothing. You have 0. And over here you have your variable and you have your number. Okay, so you have both things on the same side. And remember, we talked about you have to have the variable on one side and the number on the other. Or you could have the number on the left and the variable on the right. But you have to get one on one side and one on the other. And do not move your equal sign. So at this point, you have a couple of options. You can start over, and I will start over here in a second, or you can just say, well, now I have my variable and I have my number, and I'm going to leave my variable on the right, and I'm going to move my number to the left. So I have, again, let's talk about this. I have multiplication. I can't undo that because I still have this addition I have to undo. So I have to get rid of this addition and move this +16, get my number over here. So I do that by subtracting 16 from both sides of the equation. That's why we draw this line to define that you should be working on each side when you're doing this. You can't just do this on this side. So a +16 and a -16 add to 0. Okay? 0 minus 16 is just -16. My equal sign is now in the correct place, and my variable is still just 8x. I haven't done anything with that. So now what I have, instead of this situation, and instead of having them both on the right here together, I now have my number on the left and my variable on the right. So I basically worked into this situation. Okay, so now that I have this, now I undid the addition, now I can undo the multiplication. So since I have 8 times x, I'm going to use division to undo that, because 8 divided by 8 is 1. Now is when we don't write the x. Up here, the x has to tag along. It has to. It's part of the term we're moving. When we get to this final step, we're literally wanting to undo that multiplication. We're wanting to divorce our number and our variable. We want to separate them. And the only way to separate them is to divide by the number that's next to that variable, the exact number that's next to it. And that gives us just 1x, which is ultimately what we want. We want to have just an x, or a 1x on this side, and our number on this side. -16 divided by 8 is -2. Okay? Now, in this one over here, I also saw this. Okay, I saw the same type of thing. Now let me go back to this one. Let's not skip to the next one yet. So let's go back to this one. The best way to start one of these problems is to just decide, look at your problem and go, well, I have a variable here. I only have a variable here. But over here I have a variable and a number. The only side I have a number on is this. So I'm going to make that my number side, and I'm going to make this my variable side. I'm going to leave this alone. I'm not going to move it because it's my number side. I'm going to move the variable over here. I'm going to get the 3x away from the 5x. And since it's an understood positive 3x, in other words, it's addition that's going on because it's positive, I need to do negative. So I'm going to do a negative 3x on both sides. And now a positive 3x and a negative 3x add to 0. Now I have all of my variables here and all of my numbers here, and I don't have any zeros anywhere, and I haven't moved my equal sign. So negative 5x and a negative 3x is a negative 8x. Okay? Negative 5x and negative 3x. The signs are the same. Add them together. I know it sounds weird. You see that subtraction sign in your mind, you want to subtract. But since this one's negative and this one's negative, it's like a negative 5 degrees outside and the temperature drops 3 more degrees. So we're now at negative 8 degrees. So we're decreasing by 3 from negative 5. We're going even further negative. We're decreasing by 3 from where we started. Okay, so that's a negative 8x. Over here I have 16. And now we're back to just dividing by negative 8. Divide by negative 8. And I have x equals, and then 16 divided by negative 8. I end up with the same answer. Okay, so I'm just going to start this one. So kind of the same idea. I have 4x, so I have a variable and a number. I have a 4x and a negative 1 and a negative x and a positive 9. So I'm subtracting an x, I'm adding a 9, I'm adding a 4x on this side and subtracting a 1. So I have a variable and a number on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and just call this my variable side and this my number side. That means I'm going to bring all of my x's over here. So I'm going to get rid of this one over here. I want this to become 0. So negative x and positive x make 0. And if you have to look at it like a positive 1x, that's fine. Write that if that will help you add that together. So that brings my x's over here because now this is gone. Okay, so I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to go from left to right. 4 plus 1 is 5x. My negative 1 comes down. I just said this added to 0. So now my positive 9 comes down. My positive 9. Okay, I still can't divide anything. I can't undo this. I can't divorce them or separate them because I still have some subtraction going on. So now what I want to do is I want to do a plus 1 on both sides. Okay, so now I have my variables on the left, my numbers on the right. And that's the end of that. Good luck with the rest.